There have been multiple reports in the last 24 hours of John Kelly, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, saying what anyone paying attention already knows, that Donald Trump is a fascist. One of these reports comes from the New York Times, which frankly is finally starting to pay attention to this issue, and they do deserve credit for getting an interview with Kelly. And Kelly is very clear here. I mean, he's been clear in the past, but he's speaking out again about the danger of having Donald Trump become president again. And the interesting thing with Kelly is that he was there, he saw and listened to Trump over the years, he watched him, and he's very clear about his conclusions. And it starts with Kelly having a very clear understanding of what fascism is. I mean, he just reels off the definition. He says, well, when looking at fascism, it's a far right, authoritarian, ultra nationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy. So then he concludes that in his experience, those are the kind of things that Trump thinks would work better in terms of running America. He basically said to the New York Times, certainly the former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist for sure. I mean, think about the implications here. This is a former chief of staff of Donald Trump. He's a four-star general, retired general, decorated veteran. And this is the conclusion he's coming to. But as we'll discuss here, he's not the only one saying this. Um, Kelly also gave another interview to Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic, where, again, he gets into Trump's very bizarre and dangerous admiration of Adolf Hitler. He points out how Trump made strange comments like, I need the kind of generals Hitler had, which again shows that Trump really doesn't have any understanding of history. He just has this image of Hitler and these obedient generals. Kelly pointed out to Trump that Hitler's own generals tried to assassinate him. But, again, that didn't penetrate Trump's brain. Trump has this image in his head of Hitler having blind loyalty, which is what Trump ultimately craves. And frankly, he needs that as a malignant narcissist. The media is finally picking up on these crazy statements coming from Trump. We've had a period here where Trump's statements have been sane-washed by the media, where they really don't report on everything that he says, because frankly, he says crazy stuff on a daily basis. But now we're getting close to the election, and kudos to John Kelly for speaking out, and the New York Times and Goldberg for getting those interviews, and other publications for amplifying this. The Drudge Report naturally and rightfully has had a field day with this. Unlike many in the traditional media, Drudge will never sane wash Trump. He'll blare out Trump's insane rants to the entire world. And frankly, he deserves a lot of credit for that. That's what all of the media should be doing. But now we're seeing a crescendo here, with more and more attention being paid to the stuff that Trump is saying. Now, none of this should be a surprise. I mean, Trump has never hid any of his feelings here. He has always admired authoritarians. Vladimir Putin being the ultimate case in point, also Xi in China, Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Trump loves the fact that these individuals project power and loyalty, and that's what he wants. Trump really doesn't care about democracy or our institutions. He admires these kinds of individuals, and that's who he wants to be. He's been saying the quiet part out loud for weeks. Recently he's been saying in speeches and interviews that there's an enemy within. And he has explicitly said that he would turn the National Guard or the U.S. military on people who don't support him. I mean, think of that. Think of the implications of that. I mean, this is someone just saying that blatantly, and you still have people who somehow try to think that, oh, he's going to be fine when he gets back into office. No, he's not. This is what he wants to do. And like I said previously, it's not just Kelly who is saying this. multiple people from his administration have been saying how dangerous he is, how dangerous he can be, and how dangerous he will be in a second term should he get reelected, because he's not going to have people around him to stop him. So another example is former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, who was in the Trump administration, and he made it clear that when Trump says that he would use the military against American citizens, you need to take that seriously. He said, do you take it seriously? He said he was asked on CNN by Caitlin Collins, and he says, yes, I do, of course. He said Trump would try to utilize the National Guard, the military, against U.S. citizens. And the reason he says that is, one, he was there, he observed Trump, and Trump asked him about that when there were protests in the United States. Trump wanted to use the military against these people. So, with Kelly and with Esper and others, we do have people speaking out here as we get closer to the election. And I think this is someone that everyone needs to take seriously. Trump isn't trying to hide it. He's celebrating it. This is who he is. But everyone needs to focus on this now. I would say that what I'd like to see from Kelly is that he do a face-to-camera interview. He needs to drive this point home even more. I'm glad he did these interviews. I think it's very important that he gets the word out as to what kind of person Trump is and what kind of danger that the country would be in should he become president again. But I do think it'll be even more powerful, even more effective if Kelly would do some on-camera interviews. I think 60 Minutes would be a great place for him to land and really get into this and just make it absolutely clear to the American people what we're dealing with in terms of a threat from Donald Trump and his authoritarian and fascist tendencies. And I'm being too kind here. It's not tendencies. This is who Trump is. This is who he wants to be. He will do everything he can to trample upon all of our democratic institutions. And we haven't even gotten into what he did on January 6th, when he literally conspired to overthrow the government. I mean, he tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power, which is one of the most consequential anti-American things a president has ever done. So Donald Trump is unfit to be president, and it's good that people like Kelly and Esper and others from his administration are making that clear.